Thank you so much for joining in. We start the 4th season, and in this season, we will be discussing a lot of techniques: how to work on your voice, how to work on your body, how to connect the body with the voice, how to use breathing to communicate. Let's start with that. After working on your ability to breathe deeply and with your entire body, the next part of the process is to breathe out steadily so that you can express yourself in words. When you read a sentence on the page, it consists of a lot of different words with a gap between. But when you listen to a spoken sentence, you hear an unbroken stream of sound, which your brain divides into individual words and turns into sense. In the following sections, we will link the breathing to the actually putting across the message. The first step is producing a steady stream of air. I do a lot of exercises with my students where I make them aware how you can have a steady stream. As you communicate your thoughts and your feelings, your sound flows with expression. This process requires a steady stream of air. Try this. Imagine you're sitting in front of a cake with one candle on it. You take a breath, you blow the candle out, you're done. So far, so good. Now imagine the cake has 25 candles on it and you're going to blow them all out in one breath. Can you do that? You take a nice deep breath. You keep blowing and blowing until every candle has gone out. Whew. If you blow with great force at the beginning, you run out of breath before you reach the last candle. If on the other hand you deliberately hold your breath back, you are insufficient air power to extinguish the candles. Your breath has to last until the very last candle is extinguished, so you need to allow it to flow steadily. Keep its momentum till the very end. This is called the power of breath. Your breathing for speaking needs to work in such a manner as if you are blowing out a lot of candles. The balance, the control, and the freedom at the same time. You take a good breath in and then you allow it to come out in a steady stream. It then lasts for the end of your statement. Have you ever made a sound from a blade of grass? So choose a fat blade of grass. Hold it tightly between your thumbs, nails facing you. Find the little gap between the thumbs halfway down. Stretch the grass across the gap and blow. It will make a sound. The sound produced when you blow through the grass is loud and piercing and continues for as long as you continue to blow. You can hear clearly whether your breath is nice and steady, and if you're out in the open, people near or far will turn to find out where the piercing sound is coming from. Rather than whistling through a blade of grass, you can also try whistling using your lips, producing one note with a single steady sound, playing a long sound on the recorder or a penny whistle. These all small instruments only make a true sound if you aren't too forceful. Having a control over the pressure is also very important. As you blow out air, imagine that the sound you're producing is traveling physically away from you in a shallow arc, like an arrow in slow motion towards a target in the distance. Focus on the destination of the arrow, the end of your long sound. If you're whistling, try moving your hand from close to your face, gradually, steadily out into the distance, as if you're making a steady sound. Is this helping you to make the steady sound? Do it. Practice. Hissing is also a great practice for steadying your sound. Take a breath, breathe out on the sound. You can hear some bumps, some interruptions. It's fine. Think of the sound moving physically. Raise one hand to chest height as you start to hiss. Move your hand from one hand side to the other hand side in a smooth horizontal line. Focus on matching the smoothness of the sound. Movement of your hand. After you try hissing on the s, you may like to repeat the technique using the f and the sh for slightly different sensations. These are the fricatives. You aren't using your actual vocal folds to make a sound in this practice. The sound is created entirely by the escaping air, not by your voice box. Speaking on the air. In order to get the sensation of air moving out in your speaking, try forming words with an air in a whisper. I call it the silent technique. So I have chosen some lines from the early 20th century poem called Ghost by Fanny Stones Davis to suit the mood. Whisper the text with a steady stream of air, taking the breaths only at the end of each line. I've left the original punctuation, but take just one breath per line and let the breath flow without any hiatus while keeping to the sense of the words. Allow yourself time to take a fresh breath at the end of each line, but not so long that you lose the flow of the poem. All you hear is wind, no voice sounds at all, but someone listening to you should be able to make out the words clearly. I want you to enjoy the ghostly atmosphere that you create. I am almost afraid, though I know the night lets no ghosts walk in the warm lamplight. Yet ghosts they are, and they blow out in the wind and the scattering snow. When I open the windows and go to bed, will the ghosts come and stand in my head? It's a very powerful technique. It's called the silent technique or the hissing technique. Now try speaking the words again, but this time even more emphatically, like a stage whisper, and elongating it a bit, like you are starting off a horror tale. I'm almost afraid, though I know the night lets no ghosts walk in the warm lamplight. Yet ghosts there are, and they blow out in the wind and the scattering snow. When I open the windows and I go to the bed, will the ghosts come in and stand at my head? Make sure the end of line of the poetry is as full and exciting as you started. Of course, you aren't aiming to train your voice to whisper. It's an exercise, just a way to practice using plenty of air and to feel how it moves. Let's talk about turning breath into sound. Turning your breath into speaking is what breathing work is all about. Take a breath, begin to hum on the sound with your lips gently closed. The experience is similar to the blowing and the whistling that we were doing. Continue to breathe and hum for several breaths while gently moving your head, face, jaw and neck. Take another breath and allow the hum to open up into a vowel sound. Hum, ah, may, me, I, oh, ooh. Or you can also go into the short vowel sounds like may, me, oh, Starting with these will give you a good control over your breath and the mouth positions. After a few practices, you can eliminate the hum and start with the Return to the humming again, but this time open up with the smooth spoken word how. Wow. How, now, brown, cow. Don't take this practice too seriously. Give it inner life by having fun. Imagine that you're asking a brown cow a solemn question, then try speaking the same words loudly, joyfully, quietly, purposely, growing louder and building towards a dramatic flourish at the end. You can also gain the process of play acting. What is play acting? And how do we play act with the sound and the breathing? Let's talk about that. The practices in this section all work better when you approach them in a spirit of play. Enjoy them, don't worry if things go wrong, it's all a part of the learning process. Continue to explore your dramatic mode by combining the breathing practices. Take full breaths, energetic sentences, raise your arms to the side and up above your head as you fill with air in your belly, then your ribs and back, and finally to the upper chest. Imagine that as you raise your arms, your excitement is building. And when your arms reach the highest point, give them an extra flourish and burst straight into some joyful sentence. Some of the sentences like, I'm on the top of the whole world. That's the way it's going to be. Listen to this. It's loud and important. Here's to you and me and everyone. Ensure that the breath leads straight into the words with no hiatus between the in-breath and the vocal sounds. There would be some gremlins that you have to take into consideration. Do that. I will explain more about this technique and how to help with your vocal tone in the upcoming. The word should coincide with the flourish of your hands above your head. Surprise yourself. The in-breath happens easily when you're shocked and surprised. There is this game that we play. So person A claps, the person B says, you've cut your hair. Person B claps, you're looking amazingly well, and you keep on shifting. Clap, what happened to your desk? Clap, you're wearing blue today. Clap, you've got rid of your Ferrari. The idea of clapping is to make the next comment happen suddenly. Don't worry about the comments, just go with the flow. In the next episode, I'll talk about how we can use these practices in connecting with acting, connecting with the body, connecting with the voice, connecting with the breath, and having a control over the emotions so that we can feel the power in the voice. We will talk a bit about Shakespeare. Thank you so much for listening.